Have you ever been certain of your own goodness, only to find yourself wondering, in the darkest corners of your mind, what you might be capable of if pushed to the brink? What if I told you that the line separating hero from villain is far thinner than you believe, that the difference between an ordinary person and a historical monster isn't moral strength, but pressure, circumstance, and a psychological phenomenon that can turn even the kindest individuals into perpetrators of unthinkable acts? This isn't just about them, it's about us. The unsettling truth is that many who committed atrocities were once just like you and me. They loved, they laughed, they had families and dreams. Then something changed. Something pulled them across that unseen boundary between decency and destruction. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how it happens. We're diving into the chilling mechanisms that can push good people toward darkness and, more importantly, how to recognize and resist these forces before they take hold of you. Because the greatest danger isn't the evil lurking out in the world, it's the evil we refuse to see within ourselves. Psychologist Philip Zimbardo, the mind behind the infamous Stanford prison experiment, coined the term the Lucifer effect to describe how ordinary people can become agents of harm. His research wasn't just shocking, it was deeply disturbing, revealing how morality can dissolve like smoke under the right conditions. Let's start with one of the most unsettling truths in human psychology: the power of authority. In the 1960s, Stanley Milgram conducted an experiment that still haunts us today. Participants were instructed to administer electric shocks to another person whenever they answered a question incorrectly. The person receiving the shocks was an actor. No real pain was inflicted, but the participants didn't know that. At first, they hesitated, but as a calm, authoritative figure in a lab coat assured them that the experiment must continue, they pressed on. And here's the terrifying part: most of them obeyed, delivering what they believed were lethal shocks, simply because they were told to. Think about that. How often do we follow orders without questioning them? A boss tells you to cut ethical corners. A leader encourages distrust of a particular group. A government insists you look the other way. We tell ourselves, it's not my responsibility. But history shows us that this mindset is exactly how injustice spreads and cruelty becomes normalized. Yet authority alone isn't enough. There's another force at work just as insidious: dehumanization. The moment you stop seeing someone as fully human, the second they become an outsider, an enemy, or just another faceless other, you create the conditions for anything to become justifiable. This is the tool of tyrants, war criminals, and propagandists. Label someone a pest, and extermination seems reasonable. Call them a threat, and cruelty feels like self-defense. The words we use don't just shape perception, they shape reality. They determine whether we choose empathy or indifference, whether we help or harm. And before you assume this is something that only happens in war zones or under authoritarian rule, take a look around. How often are people reduced to labels? Them, the enemy, the problem. It's everywhere: social media, politics, even daily life. The more we strip away someone's individuality, the easier it is to justify mistreating them. But even this isn't the full picture. Because one of the most dangerous forces of all isn't something external, it's something much closer to home. Group dynamics. In Zimbardo's Stanford prison experiment, college students were randomly assigned roles, some as prison guards, others as prisoners. There were no villains in that room, just students participating in a study. Yet within days, those given power became disturbingly cruel, while those assigned as prisoners broke down in submission and despair. Why? Because we conform to the roles we are given. We slip into patterns without even realizing it. So ask yourself how much of who you are is truly you, and how much is dictated by the role society has assigned you. The way you treat co-workers, family, strangers show much of it is shaped by invisible expectations. The terrifying reality is that the descent into darkness is rarely a sudden leap. It's a series of small steps, guided by authority, justified by dehumanization, reinforced by group behavior. And unless we learn to recognize these forces within history, within society, and within ourselves, we remain vulnerable to them. Because the most dangerous evil isn't the one we fear, it's the one we fail to see. Let's chat in the comments. What do you think about this psychological phenomenon? Have you ever seen these forces at play in everyday life? And if you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to like and subscribe.